back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Debbie. If you've been following me for a while from the very beginning, like 2 years ago when I first started YouTube, welcome back. It has been a long time since I posted a video. I think the last one I posted was about 2 years ago. I decided it was time for a new one. As you can see, I have a huge stack of books. These are all the books that I read in quarter 1 of this year. I'm gonna start doing monthly reading wrap-ups, but these are all the ones I just want to fill you guys in that I've read so far in 2024. So we're gonna start with the 5 stars all the way down to the 2 stars. Starting off with the book that I liked the best of all the ones I read within this past 3 months. This is a 5-star read. This is my new favorite book of all time. It is Throne of the Fallen. Now, I know there is a series called Kingdom of the Wicked, but this is supposed to be the adult version of that, and I loved it so much. This book is about Prince Envy, who is one of the princes of sin, and I believe there are 7 princes of sin. So this starts out with Envy being told that these games are starting. The first clue to the game can be found from this human artist, and her name is Camila. So Camila and Envy end up making a bargain. They're in these games together, trying to find all of the clues and everything, but the one challenge that they face that they must not do, they cannot fall in love. The one thing that I liked about this book was that it was told in third-person point of view, but it switched point of views from Envy and Camila. Normally the only POVs I've read switching between the female and male main character are first person, but this book really was like a storytelling where you are looking from the outside into what they're thinking instead of them telling you what they're thinking. Also, this book is so cute. The inside pages and the chapter pages are so cute, and this cover is just beautiful. But in this, there's demons, vampires, magic, it's basically everything you'd want in a fantasy, and I loved it so much. The next book I read was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I read this one on my computer because I just borrowed it from the library, but this one was a 5 stars also. This was such a cute, innocent, romantic story. It's about these 2 emergency room doctors who kind of start off as enemies. So I guess this could kind of be enemies to lovers, but they start fake dating. And fake dating was one of my favorite things to read about because obviously, you know, they're eventually gonna fall in love and they start out not liking each other. In their shifts, they're writing each other these cute little notes and they start fake dating. Eventually they fall in love, and the story was just so cute, really easy to read, and I give it 5 stars. The next 5-star read is A House of Roots and Ruin. My dog ripped up the dust jacket cover, so we're lucky that this book is as beautiful as it is without the dust jacket, but this was such a good book. This is the 2nd book in the Sisters of the Salt series. So the first book, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is about this girl and she can see ghosts and all of her sisters are dying. The 2nd book follows the youngest sister, Verity, who is now 18 years old. In the first book, she was like 6, I think. But this is her coming of age, moving out, going and seeing her soon-to-be husband because their family wanted her to paint a portrait of their son Alex. While she moved into this new house, she's falling in love with Alex, but the dad is being super weird, and mind you, Verity can see ghosts, and the mystery in this book was so good. I was on the edge of my seat like the whole time, and just the things that this dad does is just crazy. So if you like the mix of like Bridgerton with ghosts, a little bit of romance, you definitely need to read this one. Last 5-star read of quarter 1 is The Book of Lost Names. It's World War II Holocaust historical fiction, which that's the only historical fiction that I really enjoy. This is about a girl who forges documents for Jewish children so they can run away, so they don't end up in the concentration camps. This also has a subplot of romance in it. This was going to be a 4-star read for me, but the ending just totally changed that to 5 stars. The ending was so sweet and it was just perfect. Now moving on to the 4 stars, I have Vibrate Higher Daily, and this is a self-help book, and it is super thin. I just got it because it is so cute. The cover is so cute, the inside is so colorful. I would give it 4 stars. It's really cute, a really quick, easy read. I don't necessarily think that I learned anything new from it, but if you are in your self-help reading era, you would probably like this one. Next 4 stars is Iron Flame. I do have the sprayed edges version. For some reason, there's like a sticker at the top, so it ruined it a little bit, but this is the 2nd book in the Fourth Wing series. So I had really high hopes for this one, but this one was 4 stars. It was just kind of boring, really slow. It was mostly war talk, which I don't really care about, and it is super thick, so it took me like 4 months to get through, which I didn't really want to finish it, but I'm so glad I did because the ending was such a cliffhanger, which if you haven't seen, the 3rd book in the Empyrean series comes out January 2025. Even though I didn't really like this one, still really really excited to read the next one. Next we have The Lost Apothecary. This one was 4 stars. Really tiny book, so quick to read. Look at the cover, it is so pretty. If you like witchy stuff or like potions or anything like that, you would definitely like this book. I didn't know that I liked reading about old town witchery kind of stuff until I read this, but this goes back and forth from present day back into the 1800s. I wish this was made into 2 different books, one for the 1800s and one for present day, because I feel like a lot of stuff could have been elaborated on more, because I really like the 1800s story. So in the 1800s, there is this apothecary who sells poisons to women to use against the men in their lives. So I thought this book was so interesting. The present day and the 1800s story, just at the end of the book, they come together so nicely. So I like this one a lot. Next we have House of Salt and Sorrows, which was a 4-star read. This is the first book in the Salt Sisters series. So this is the book that I read before, A House of Roots and Ruin, the purple book that I was talking about earlier. This book is about a girl and all of her sisters are dying, and no one knows why, but everyone's saying that the family is cursed. It would seem that way because all the sisters are dying for no reason. Well, there is a reason and you'll find out at the end of the book, but this was such a fast-paced book. It was so good. And there is a subplot of romance, but it is mostly like a murder mystery book, but there is a spooky vibe because there's ghosts in this book too, and it was really good. Next is The Way I Used to Be. This was 4 stars for me. This is about a high school girl and some really bad things happened to her. This was a really sad story, but it really opened my eyes to how something like that can affect your everyday life. But in the ending, there is a resolution. She does overcome this and she becomes really resilient. Next, going into the 3 stars, we have A Court of Silver Flames, which is super thick. This took me about 5 months to get through, just because I didn't really like it. This is the 5th book in the ACOTAR series. This follows Cassian and Nesta's relationship, which I didn't really like Nesta or Cassian to begin with, so I think that's why I didn't really like this book. I just felt like it dragged on and it was so repetitive, but I will say Nesta's character development was so good. She changed drastically, and for the better too. I only read this one because I just wanted to finish the ACOTAR series, but you definitely could have just read the first 3. In my opinion, you don't really need the 4th and 5th book. Next 3-star is One Dark Window. I remember this was so hyped up on Book Talk, and that's why I got it. It's about this girl who gets this sickness or this fever, and so it turns her blood black. And normally any child who gets this fever and their blood turns black, the physicians have to kill you because eventually you can get special powers or something like that. Her parents hid her from the government and from the physicians, so that's why she's still living. And the magic system in this book is pretty cool. It's based on province cards, which each card gives you a magical ability. But one day she touches this card called the Nightmare card, and she absorbs this beast into her brain, and it's called the Nightmare. So it's just sitting in the back of her head, just like whispering to her, talking to her. That was a really cool part. I really like the vibes of this. It's spooky, it's eerie. I've never read a gothic fantasy before, so I did like that part of it, but the part I didn't like was that it was just really slow for me. I didn't find myself wanting to read it, and it was kind of boring. Next 3-star is Circe. This is a fantasy retelling of Circe's life story, which Circe is a Greek mythology character. So if you're really into Greek mythology, I think you'd like this one. But I just think I didn't really like it because I'm not super into Greek mythology. I used to be when I was younger, but I'm just not really anymore. So I mean, this was a nice story. The imagery was really nice. It was easy to follow even though I'm not big on Greek mythology. I just didn't really care. Could have DNF'd this book, but I didn't just because I wanted to finish it. But yeah, 3 stars. Now my least favorite book of quarter 1 was A Fall of Ruin and Wrath. I gave this one 2 stars. This is a fantasy book. I saw everyone talking about this on Book Talk. I like fantasy, so I thought that I would like it, but it turns out I was very wrong. This is mostly just spice. I like a little bit of spice when it's sprinkled into the plot, but this had basically no plot. It was just spice, and the spice felt so random. The male main character would be in the story, there would be spice, he would leave, nothing would really happen, he would enter the story again, and there would be a little bit of spice, and then he would leave. He'd come back and it just kept happening over and over again. I could not tell you what this book was about. So the ending, I mean, I think the plot is something to do with 2 kingdoms fighting or something like that, but other than that, I don't really know what happened. So I would not recommend this book unless you like strictly just reading about spice. But I personally like a real story with a plot line and everything. I like character development. And don't get me wrong, I do like spice a little bit when it's sprinkled in to the plot and it makes sense and the story flows together. But this one I just did not like. These are all the books that I read in Q1 of 2024. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you liked them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.